The lights in the mind reprogramming room continued to flicker. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Broken glass covered the floor. The air smelled like burning wires and fear. Lieutenant Sarah Kane sat in the chair, still strapped down, but something had changed. Her breathing was slow and steady, her eyes sharp and glowing with new determination. The alien technicians stood frozen, staring at her. Their green glowing chest lights pulsed faster. They spoke quickly in their strange language, confused and scared. "She's awake." One technician yelled in their tongue. "The machine. It didn't work," shouted another. The lead technician reached for a control panel to restart the neural shock, but before he could press the button, Sarah moved fast, too fast, with strength she didn't know she still had. Sarah twisted her wrist, snapping the metal cuff loose. Her dislocated shoulder popped back into place with a sickening crack. Pain exploded through her, but she didn't stop. With one free arm, she grabbed a piece of broken glass from the floor. Without thinking, she drove the sharp glass straight into the neck of the nearest alien. Green blood sprayed across the control panels. The technician gurgled and collapsed. The others screamed. Alarms blared again. The room turned to chaos. One alien rushed toward her with an electric rod, but Sarah kicked upward with both legs. The alien flew backward, crashing into a glass tube. Another alien pulled a plasma gun from the wall, but froze mid-action. Its hand shook, its eyes twitched. Sarah stared directly into the alien's face, her mind somehow pushed into his. A single thought echoed between them: drop the weapon. The alien's hands opened. The plasma gun fell to the floor. Sarah didn't hesitate. She grabbed the weapon with both hands, rolled across the floor and took cover behind an overturned console. Energy blasts hit the wall where she had been moments before. She fired back. Green plasma bolts tore through. Two more technicians. Sparks filled the air. Sirens screamed louder from the hallway. She heard heavy boots running toward her location. More guards were coming, heavily armed. Sarah's mind raced. She had seconds, maybe less. Her body was breaking down. Bones, muscles, everything screaming in pain, but she kept moving. She pulled herself to her feet, staggering but determined that her only chance was to get out of this room, reach a control center, find an escape pod, or hijack a ship, whatever it took. The door burst open. 5 alien guards stormed in, weapons raised. Sarah fired first. Her plasma shots hit 2 of them directly in the chest. Green energy exploded from their bodies, but the others fired back. One bolt grazed her arm. Another blast hit the console behind her, sending metal shards flying. A sharp piece cut across her cheek. Blood ran down her face. She dived behind a metal pillar. Her heart pounded. Her breathing grew heavy. She couldn't win a direct fight. Here, too many enemies, too many weapons, too much damage to her body. Her only option was to run. Sarah took a deep breath, gritted her teeth, and pushed off the pillar. She sprinted toward the side door at full speed. Blaster shots chased her down the hall. Heat from the plasma bolts burned the air near her back. An alarmed voice shouted through the ship's speaker system: "Prisoner escape attempt. Sector 12. All units respond." As she ran, her head felt dizzy. The mind link she felt earlier, it was still there, faint, like a radio signal at the edge of range. She focused, tried to reach out, tried to push her thoughts into the minds of the guards chasing her for one split second. She felt one of them hesitate. Their finger on the trigger stopped, but it wasn't enough. Another guard fired. A plasma bolt slammed into her side. She crashed against the wall. Pain shot through her like lightning. Her vision blurred. Her legs refused to move. The guards closed in. 2 of them grabbed her arms. Another kicked the plasma gun from her hand. The lead guard raised its weapon, aiming at her head. Sarah stared up at him. Bloody, broken, barely breathing, but still. She smiled a defiant, bloody smile. The guard hesitated just for a second, enough for her to spit blood right into its face. The alien roared in anger and slammed the butt of its rifle into her temple. Darkness swallowed her when Sarah opened her eyes again. She was back in her cell. Same cold floor, same chains. Her body felt like it had been hit by a truck, then run over again. Her side burned from the plasma wound. Her head throbbed from the hit. Her hands were tied tighter than before. Metal clamps dug into her wrists, but she was alive. And more importantly, she had learned something. 2 things, actually. First, the alien mind control machine couldn't break her. Second, she could influence their minds. Not much. Not yet, but she could feel it. Something was changing inside her. Inside them, hours passed, or maybe days. Time had no meaning here. Every so often, guards came by to check on her, sometimes just to look, sometimes to hit her for fun. But she noticed something new now. Some guards avoided her gaze, some kept their distance, some looked at her like she was something dangerous, not prey, not weak, but something they didn't understand and feared. Late one cycle, 2 officers entered her cell. One was the black armored commander, the same one from the execution chamber. The other, a strange alien in red robes, thinner with more delicate features. The robed one carried a small device, like a scanner. They stood over her, speaking in low voices. "This one is not normal," the robed alien said, scanning her mind. Resistance levels too high. Neural patterns unstable. The commander growled. Then we break her. Slower. The robed alien nodded. Transfer her to isolation sector. Maximum containment. The guards pulled her up, dragged her through more halls. This time, deeper into the ship, down below normal prison levels, past rows of empty cells, past doors marked with alien warning symbols. She couldn't read. They stopped in front of a thick steel door. It hissed open. Inside, pure darkness. No lights. No sounds. Just cold. They threw her inside. The door slammed shut behind her. Sarah lay there in the dark, alone again, but this time she smiled wider than before, because even here, in the dark, she could still feel them. The alien minds flickering at the edges of her thoughts, and they could feel her too, her pain. Her anger, her unbroken will. They tried to break her, they failed, and she wasn't done yet, not even close. The cold metal floor pressed against her skin. Blood, sweat, and dirt covered her face. Every breath felt like fire burning in her lungs. Her name was Lieutenant Sarah Kane, a human soldier, fighter pilot, survivor, but now she was just a prisoner. The alien prison cell was dark and small. The walls glowed faint green. Strange symbols moved across the metal like living ink. The air smelled like chemicals and burnt ozone. Sarah opened her eyes slowly. Her vision was blurry. Her left eye felt swollen shut. Chains held her wrists and ankles, heavy, cold, and sharp at the edges. Her whole body hurt, her ribs broken, her shoulder dislocated, her lip split and bleeding. Her head throbbed from the last beating, but she was still alive. They tried to break her again and again. Days, maybe weeks. She didn't know anymore. Every time she passed out, they dragged her back to the torture room. And every time she smiled at them, a broken smile, full of blood, but a smile. From the other side of the wall, she heard voices. Alien voices. Raspy, metallic, full of hate. They spoke in their strange clicking language, but after so long, she started to understand some words. Not human. Still alive. Impossible. Double quotes. Execution. Two. Orders from high command. Double quotes. Weak, broken bones, still not begging. Sarah closed her eyes. She forced herself to slow her breathing. She couldn't let them see fear. Fear was victory. For them suddenly, the door to her cell opened. Blinding white light filled the room. She squinted, saw the shadows of two alien guards, tall, thin, gray-skinned creatures. Big black eyes, sharp fingers, green lights pulsing in their chests like beating hearts. The guard stepped inside. One of them grabbed her by the collar of her flight suit, lifting her like she weighed nothing. The other alien pulled a long electric rod from its belt. Sparks danced on the tip without warning. It slammed the rod into her ribs. Pain exploded through her body. Her scream stayed trapped in her throat. She wouldn't give them the sound they wanted. They dragged her down a long metallic hallway. Other prisoners, humans, maybe, screamed. From behind sealed doors, she saw shadows moving inside the cells. Some people were already dead, some wishing they were. Her head hung low, but her eyes stayed sharp, looking for exits, weapons, anything. At the end of the hall, a larger room waited, the execution chamber. She had heard rumors, heard the screams from here many times. Now it was her turn. The guards threw her to the ground. Her face hit cold metal. Blood filled her mouth. Through blurry eyes, she saw more aliens standing around, high-ranking officers by the look of their armor. In the center of the room, a large machine stood ready. Long metal arms, spinning blades, energy spikes, glowing red. Death by slow dismemberment. That's how they executed humans. They wanted fear. They wanted screams. They wanted control. The alien commander stepped forward. This one was different. Taller, stronger. Its armor black and silver. Green lights glowing bright across its body. It spoke in broken English. Double quotes human. You. Weak. You. Die now. Sarah smiled. Even now, broken, bleeding, dying, she smiled. Go to hell, she whispered. The alien commander tilted its head, confused for a second. Then, with a sharp gesture, the machine powered on. The metal arms unfolded, blades spinning, energy building. Her heart raced. Was this it? Was this the end? But before the machine touched her, alarmed suddenly, screamed. A loud siren filled the air. Red lights flashed across the chamber. The aliens froze. The commander growled something in its native language. An alien technician ran inside, shouting, "System failure. Sector 7, explosion. Unknown cause." The commander roared in anger. Pointed at the guards. "Take her back. Put her in the mind room." The guards grabbed her again. Her body screamed in pain, but inside, her mind stayed sharp. Something was happening, something unexpected, some kind of malfunction or attack. She didn't know, but it gave her one more chance to survive. They dragged her down a new hallway. This one was colder. The walls lined with wires and strange glass tubes filled with green liquid. At the end, a door opened inside. The mind reprogramming chamber. She had heard about this place too. No human survived this room. Not one. The machines inside didn't just hurt your body, they broke your mind. Memories, loyalty, even your name, all erased, turned into a blank puppet. A slave for alien war. That was their plan for her now. The guards strapped her into a chair, metal cuffs, locked her arms and legs. Cold wires slid into her neck, spine, and skull. Her vision flickered. The room seemed to twist and blur. Suddenly, bright lights filled her mind. Voices, sounds, data, images, all flooding in. Her childhood memories burned away. Her first flight as a pilot erased her training. Gone. Her friends, her unit. Their faces started to fade. Pain worse than anything she felt before hit her brain like fire. A scream finally broke free. But deep inside, something strange happened. Her mind didn't crack. Instead, it fought back. The alien machines weren't prepared for a human like her. Her memories twisted and looped. Her anger, her hate, her willpower, all focused into a single thought. I will not break. The alien system overloaded. The lights in the room flickered. The green tubes along the walls shattered. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Alien technicians ran in, screaming for shutdown, but it was too late. Through the pain, she felt something else. A connection. Her mind touched something. Strange, alien, powerful. She heard voices. Not human voices. Alien voices from soldiers across the ship. From guards, pilots, crew members. Their thoughts, confusion, fear, hesitation. She could feel them, hear them, control them. Her heartbeat slowed. Her breathing calmed. Her eyes opened. The nearest alien technician froze, looking at her. Its face went pale. For the first time, an alien felt fear staring into her eyes. Sarah's cracked lips moved. She whispered for words. You're all mine. Now. Darkness surrounded Sarah Kane. The cold floor pressed against her skin. No light, no sounds, no way to know how much time had passed. Her body ached. Her side burned from the plasma wound. Her head throbbed, but her mind stayed sharp. She waited. She counted her heartbeats. She listened for footsteps, and she reached out again. That strange feeling, the connection faint, like distant radio static, but still there. Somewhere on this alien ship, soldiers moved, worked, thought. And now, a small part of her mind could feel them suddenly. The door opened. Blinding white light poured in. Sarah winced and turned her head. Guards entered, both in full armor, both carrying electric stun rods. Move. One of them growled in broken English. They grabbed her arms and dragged her out of the cell. Her legs barely worked, but she stayed conscious. They pulled her through long metallic corridors, walls pulsing with green lights. The air smelled like chemicals and hot metal. Other aliens stopped and stared as they dragged her past. Some whispered, some looked afraid. The guards brought her to a large brown door. Strange symbols glowed above it. Her heart sank. The mind room again this time. No mistakes. They wanted her broken. For good. The door opened with a hiss. The room was even larger than before. Circular wires hanging like vines from the ceiling. The center of the room held a giant machine, black metal, spinning discs, glowing energy. Cores, thick cables ran from the machine into the walls, deep into the ship's systems. This was their real mind control system. Stronger, more dangerous, designed for total mental wipeout. The robed alien scientist stood near the controls, its skin pale gray, large black eyes locked onto Sarah. No human survives this, the scientist said, its voice cold, flat, no emotion. The guard strapped her onto a vertical metal frame, arms spread wide, legs clamped tight, metal needles extended from the wall, thin, sharp, glowing with green light. They pressed into her skull, spine and temples. Pain shot through her nerves. She gritted her teeth, didn't scream, wouldn't scream. The scientist walked over, held a small control device in its hand. We will erase you, it said softly. Your mind, your memories, your will, gone. Sarah smiled weakly. Good luck with that, she whispered. The alien scientist pressed a button. The machine roared to life. Bright green energy surged through the wires. Her body jerked. Her heart slammed. Inside her chest, her brain felt like it was boiling. Images flooded. Her mind, memories twisted and burned. Her first day at flight, school. Her parents waving goodbye. Her first kill in space combat. Her squad, laughing at bad jokes, crying over lost friends. All of it, burning away one by one. Voices, faces, names, dissolving. She screamed. This time she couldn't stop it. Her throat tore from the force of it. The aliens watched closely. The monitors showing brainwave spikes, neural damage increasing. The scientist smiled. This is the end, it said, but inside the pain, something else happened. The machine dug deeper, past memories, past fear, past pain, into something more raw. Her instincts, her rage, her human survival drive. And there, buried deep, the strange new connection waited. The machine touched it, and then, everything broke. The lights exploded, the control panels burst into flames. The alien scientist screamed. Energy shot from the machine in wild bolts. One guard caught a blast directly. His body flew across the room. The other guard dropped his weapon and fell to the floor, convulsing. Sarah's eyes snapped open. They glowed bright green for a split second. Her body hung limp, but her mind stretched outward like invisible wires. She reached for something. Someone across the ship. Alien soldiers froze. Mid-step. Technicians dropped tools. Pilots on the bridge felt sudden headaches. Some collapsed. Some heard a voice. In their heads, her voice. Whispers. Commands. Back in the mind room, the machine continued to spark and shake. The robed scientist crawled toward the exit. Terrified. Sarah pulled against her restraints. Her muscles screamed. Metal creaked. Bolts popped loose. With a final burst of strength, she tore one arm free, then the other. She dropped to the floor. Her legs barely worked, but she dragged herself forward, toward the scientist. The alien tried to run, but Sarah's voice stopped him cold. Stay. The alien froze in place, its eyes wide, its body trembling like it couldn't move, no matter how much it tried. Sarah grabbed a piece of broken metal from the floor, staggered to her feet, and without hesitation, she drove it deep into the scientist's chest. Green blood poured out. The alien fell dead, breathing hard, barely standing. Sarah looked around the room. Flames spread across the walls. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Alarms blared, but her mind reached farther. She felt soldiers running toward the mind room. A squad, maybe two. Armed. Angry. Coming fast. But she also felt something else. One alien guard, still lying unconscious, just outside the room. Weak-minded. Scared. Easier to control. Sarah, focused, pushed her thoughts into him. The guard stirred. Blinking. Confused. Her voice entered his head, clear, commanding. Come inside, bring me your weapon. The guard obeyed, slow, like moving through mud. But he moved, entered the room, dropped his rifle at her feet, then stood, motionless, waiting for her next order. Sarah picked up the weapon. Her hands shook, her body screamed in pain, but she stood tall. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. The first wave of enemy soldiers arrived. The door burst open. 5 aliens rushed in, weapons raised. Sarah didn't hesitate. She fired. Green plasma bolts tore through the first 2. The mind-controlled guard attacked the others, fighting like a wild animal. For a moment, it looked like she might win, but numbers mattered. Too many enemies, too many guns. One alien tackled her to the ground, another kicked the rifle from her hands. A stun blast hit her shoulder. Her vision blurred. Her body refused to move. More aliens flooded the room, weapons pointed at her head. The commander stepped inside. Black and silver armor gleaming in the firelight. It growled low. Enough. The guards lifted her, dragged her back down the hall. Her strength was gone. Her vision faded in and out. But still, deep inside, she smiled. They had failed again. They couldn't break her now. Something inside her was growing. Something dangerous. Something they couldn't control. They didn't realize it yet, but Sarah Kane was no longer just a prisoner. She was becoming something else, something new, something powerful. As they locked her back inside the isolation cell, she closed her eyes and she whispered, "You're all mine soon." The isolation cell was cold. Sarah Kane sat on the floor, her back against the wall. Blood had dried on her face. Her right arm hung limp at her side. Every breath felt heavy. Her body was broken, but her mind felt different, stronger, faster. There was something inside her now. Something new. Something she didn't fully understand. She closed her eyes and reached out. Beyond the metal walls, she could feel them. The alien soldiers. Their minds flickered like distant lights. Some strong, some confused, some already cracked. She focused on one. A guard, male, young, weak-minded, standing just outside her cell. She pictured his face, focused on his heartbeat, listened to his breathing. She pushed a single thought toward him. Come closer. At first, nothing. Then slow footsteps. The guard walked toward the door. His hand hovered over the panel. His breathing grew faster. Sarah pushed harder, opened the door. The guard's hand trembled. His fingers hovered over the control button. Sweat green and sticky ran down his gray forehead. He shook his head, fighting her control. But her voice, her will, filled his mind like thunder. Open it. With a shaky finger, he pressed the button. The cell door hissed open. Light flooded in. Sarah blinked against the brightness. Her heart raced. This was her chance, her first real test, her first act of control. The guard stood there, frozen. His weapon hung at his side, his eyes wide and empty, like he was sleepwalking. Sarah pulled herself up with great effort. Every muscle screamed in pain. Her legs felt like stone, but she moved slow step by step. She stood in front of him. His breathing grew rapid. His eyes darted back and forth. "Give me your weapon," she whispered. The guard's hands shook. He fought the command, but she pushed. Again, harder, her mind digging into his memories. Fear's family, everything he cared about. She twisted it all, used his own fear against him. The guard's hands rose. He slowly handed her the plasma rifle. Sarah took it with both hands. Her body almost collapsed from the weight, but she stayed. Standing. Barely. She lifted the weapon, aimed it at his chest for a second. She thought about shooting him, killing him, but something told her no, not yet. She needed him. For now. Walk, she said. The guard turned, started walking down the hallway like a puppet on strings. Sarah followed step after slow step. Her heart pounded with every move. Her head throbbed from the mental effort. Her vision blurred at the edges, but she kept going. They passed 2 more guards at the end of the hallway. Both looked up, surprised. One shouted. The other raised his weapon. Sarah didn't wait. She fired first. The plasma bolt hit the first guard in the chest. He flew backward into the wall. The second guard fired back. His shot grazed her shoulder. She screamed but didn't fall. The controlled guard beside her suddenly attacked the second alien, tackling him to the floor, punching, choking. Sarah fired again. Both guards lay still. Her breathing grew worse. Her side burned. Blood dripped from her arm, but she kept moving. They reached a stairwell. Down below, more voices. More guards. Alarms started to sound. The ship knew she was loose again. Her time was running out. She pressed her hand against the wall, steadying herself. Her controlled guard stood beside her, staring blankly, waiting for her next command. She placed her hand on his shoulder. "Go down there," she said. "Distract them, draw their fire." The alien's eyes twitched. His lips moved, trying to speak, trying to resist, but her control tightened. "Go," she ordered. Without another word, the alien ran down the stairs. Blasters fired. Shouts filled the air. She heard screams. Explosions. Her distraction worked. Sarah used the chaos to slip through a maintenance hatch. She crawled through tight ventilation shafts. Every movement sent waves of pain through her ribs. Her wounds reopened. Blood smeared the metal walls. Her vision blurred again. She fought to stay awake. Every time her mind drifted, she forced herself back. She couldn't sleep now. Not yet. Not while freedom was so close. She reached another exit vent. Through the metal slats, she saw the engineering bay. Rows of glowing power cores. Aliens running back and forth, responding to alarms. This was her chance. If she could just reach the reactor controls, maybe cause a systems overload, force an evacuation, create a way out. Her heart beat faster. Her hands shook, but she crawled forward. Just as she was about to push the vent open, she felt it. A presence, strong, angry. The alien commander. He stood below in the engineering bay, shouting orders, organizing a search. Her blood turned cold. If he saw her now, she was dead. But then something strange happened. Their eyes met. For just a second, across the engineering bay, through a crowd of soldiers, the commander locked eyes with her, and in that moment she pushed her mind, like a hammer, straight into his. For a second, the commander froze, his body stiff. His voice caught in his throat. The soldiers near him looked confused. "What's wrong, Commander?" one of them asked. But the moment passed. The commander shook his head violently, breaking her hold. He roared, in rage. "Find her," he screamed. "Now." Sarah didn't wait. She pushed the vent open and dropped to the floor. Pain shot through her legs, but she ran. Blaster fire followed. Energy bolts sizzled past her head. She dove behind a crate, pulled the stolen plasma rifle up, fired blindly at her pursuers. The lights overhead, exploded smoke, filled the air. She ran again, down another hallway, turning left, then right, then down. Her vision blurred, her breathing shallow, her body finally giving up. Her legs collapsed under her. She hit the floor hard. Her head bounced off the metal. Darkness crept in, but before she passed out, she heard something, a voice. Not her own. Not human. Inside her mind. Soft, afraid, double quotes, "Help me." It was the young alien guard, the one she had controlled. Somewhere he was still alive. Somewhere he was calling out to her, and somehow she could hear him, even through walls, even across the ship. Her power was growing as she faded into unconsciousness. One thought stayed clear in her mind. This is only the beginning. Sarah Kane opened her eyes slowly. Her body hurt everywhere. Her head pounded. Her side burned. Her throat felt dry like sand. She was lying on the floor again, this time in a storage room. Metal crates surrounded her. The air smelled of fuel and burned electronics. Far away, alarms still echoed across the ship. For a moment, she wondered why the guards hadn't finished her off. Why wasn't she back in the execution chamber? Why wasn't she dead already? Then she felt it. That strange connection. Faint, but there, somewhere nearby. The young alien guard she had controlled before was still alive, still breathing, and still thinking about her. His fear, whispered, confusion, his loyalty, all mixed together inside his mind, and she could feel it. Sarah pulled herself up slowly. Her hands shook. Her legs wobbled. She pressed her back against the wall and closed. Her eyes focusing. Reaching out, she pushed her thoughts outward, like invisible threads. Her mind touched others, guards on patrol, technicians working on power systems, pilots sitting in their cockpits. So many minds, so many voices. Most were strong, focused, loyal to their chain of command. But some were different. Weak, tired, scared. Their thoughts full of doubt. Their memories cracked. Their loyalty already shaking. Sarah smiled weakly. These were the ones she needed. She picked one, a technician in a nearby control room. Young, nervous always, afraid of making mistakes. She reached into his mind. Soft at first, just a whisper, a suggestion. "Look over here." The technician paused at his console. His hands trembled. He stood up and walked to a supply closet, opened the door, found nothing, confused. He returned to his seat. Sarah smiled again. Small steps. Small tests. Her reach was growing. Her control was spreading. She focused on another guard walking past her storage room. Big, strong but tired, hungry. His mind drifted, thinking of home, family, old regrets. Perfect, Sarah whispered into his mind. Stop, wait, turn left. The guard froze mid-step. His eyes went wide. He stood there, like a statue. His breathing quickened. His hands shook slowly. He turned left, walking toward a maintenance tunnel instead of his assigned patrol. Other guards shouted at him, "What are you doing? Wrong way." But the guard didn't answer, his mind trapped under her influence. Sarah felt stronger. Every time she pushed, it got easier. Every time she took control, it lasted longer. Her headache stayed, but it didn't stop her. Her body stayed broken, but her will stayed sharp. She stood up fully now, her legs weak but steady, her heart beating faster. Fighting back became a real option. She needed more soldiers, more minds, more influence. She slipped out of the storage room, staying low, moving fast when no one looked. Her ears stayed sharp for footsteps. Her mind reached out with every turn she avoided. Groups of guards blended into the shadows. When she saw a lone technician, she froze, focused, and whispered into his mind, "Drop your keycard." The technician, without knowing why, pulled his access card from his belt and dropped it on the floor. Sarah waited until he walked away. Then she grabbed the card and kept moving. She reached the power control sector. Big glowing generators lined the walls. Cables as thick as trees ran along the ceiling. A few guards stood at the control stations. Sarah hid behind a pipe. Her heart pounded, her breathing shallow. She focused again. Pushed. One guard suddenly dropped his rifle. His hands shook uncontrollably. The second guard yelled, "What's wrong with you?" before the second could react. Sarah charged forward. Her broken body moved like a missile. She slammed the first guard into the wall, grabbed his dropped rifle, spun, and fired at the second guard. The energy blast hit the guard in the chest. He fell instantly. Sarah collapsed next to the first guard. Her vision swam, but she kept fighting. She forced herself to stand. She pointed the rifle at the first guard's head. "Stay down," she whispered, her voice low but powerful. The guard froze, his eyes wide with fear. His body refused to move. Another victory, another mind. Under her growing control, Sarah accessed the nearest control panel. Alien symbols flashed across the screen. She didn't understand the language, but she knew enough about power grids and control systems to recognize overload warnings. She punched random buttons. Lights flashed red. Warning sirens screamed again. Overload began in several sectors. More confusion, more chaos, more guards running. Sarah used it. She slipped deeper into the ship. Everywhere she went, she left behind fear and questions. Some guards started whispering about her. They called her the broken one who won't die. Others called her the human witch. Rumors spread fast. Some said she was using dark technology. Others said she had made a deal with death itself. All Sarah cared about was survival. And taking control. The young alien guard, her first puppet, found her again. His armor was scratched, his eyes dull, but when he saw her, he dropped his weapon and knelt at her feet. His voice shook, but his words were clear command. Sarah's heart jumped. It worked. He wasn't just controlled, he had chosen her, or maybe couldn't choose otherwise. Either way, she wasn't alone now. "Stand up," she said. He obeyed. "Follow me." He followed. They moved together. More guards came. They fought. They ran. They hid. Sarah's control kept spreading. Every encounter, every battle, every whisper in the minds of her enemies made her stronger. By the end of that cycle, 5 aliens had fallen under her control. 2 guards, 1 technician, 1 medic, and her first soldier. Her small army had begun not by choice, not by friendship, but by fear, and by her growing power. She sat in a maintenance room, surrounded by them. Her wounds still hurt, her strength still low. But when she looked at their faces, their empty eyes, their waiting bodies, she smiled. For the first time since her capture, she felt hope, not just for survival, but for revenge. The ship shook. Small explosions rumbled through the metal walls. Flashing red lights blinked along every hallway. Sirens screamed louder now. Sarah Kane stood inside a dark maintenance room. Her small group of controlled aliens stood around her. 2 guards, 1 technician, 1 medic, on her first puppet. The young soldier who knelt before her. Their eyes all looked empty, lost, like sleepwalkers, but they listened, they obeyed, and that was enough. Sarah's body was still broken. Her side burned, her shoulder barely worked, but her mind was stronger than ever. The connection inside her head had grown. She could now feel the thoughts of dozens of aliens across the ship, some too strong to control, some too far away, but others nearby, confused, scared, vulnerable. Perfect targets. She turned to her first puppet. "You," she said. "What's your name?" The alien blinked for a moment. It looked like he was fighting to answer. Then, in a shaking voice, he said, "Varric." Sarah nodded. "All right, Varric, listen carefully." She pointed at the others. "You 5. We're taking the command center." Varric's eyes widened. "The command center?" he asked in fear. "That place is full of soldiers, officers, weapons. Sarah's stare turned cold. That's why we're going there, she said. If I control the bridge, I control the whole ship. Varric swallowed hard, but nodded. The others didn't speak. Their minds still trapped, loyal only to her. Sarah grabbed a stolen plasma rifle, checked the energy level. Half full, enough for now. She took a deep breath, then opened the maintenance door. They moved through the lower decks, sticking to service tunnels, avoiding patrols when they could. When they couldn't, they attacked fast. Sarah gave sharp mental orders. Her controlled aliens moved like shadows. One technician cut the lights in a hallway. 2 guards ambushed enemy patrols. The medic poisoned the water lines in the crew. Quarters small attacks, quick kills. Fear spread faster than any bullet. The aliens on the ship didn't understand what was happening. Guards turned on fellow guards. Technicians sabotaged their own systems. Medic teams disappeared. Rumors grew. Some said it was a human ghost. Others said it was a virus infecting their minds. Some even started whispering her name, the Unbroken. Sarah reached the lower level near the command deck. Her team hid behind a bulkhead ahead. A full squad of enemy soldiers stood guard. Heavy weapons, body armor, helmets with neural shields. Sarah's heart sank. The neural shields made it harder to control them, but not impossible. She focused hard, pushed her mind toward the weakest one. One guard near the end of the line. Young, scared. Sarah as influenced slipped into his mind like smoke under a door. Turn left, she whispered. The guard twitched. His head jerked. He turned left. Another soldier noticed. Where are you going? The officer shouted. But the controlled guard pulled a grenade from his belt and dropped it at his own feet. The explosion shook the hallway. 3 enemy soldiers fell instantly. Sarah and her group charged. Plasma fire filled the air. Her 2 controlled guards opened fire with stolen rifles. Varric moved fast, tackling an officer to the ground. Sarah limped forward, firing shot after shot. Her plasma rifle overheated. She tossed it aside and grabbed a fallen weapon. The fight was brutal up close, bloody, but Sarah's will kept her team moving. Even when they took hits, they kept fighting, their minds trapped in her control, refusing to fall until she allowed it. Finally, the hallway fell silent. Bodies lay scattered. Smoke hung in the air. Sarah dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Her side screamed in pain. Varric pulled her back to her feet. We don't have much time, he said. Sarah nodded. Then let's finish this. They kicked open the command center door. Inside, officers shouted. Panels lit up with warning messages. Internal sabotage, power failures, security breach. When the aliens saw her, they froze for a full second. No one moved. A single human, covered in blood, surrounded by mind-controlled soldiers. It didn't make sense to them, but Sarah didn't wait. She raised her stolen rifle and opened fire. Varric and the others followed. 2 officers fell before they could raise weapons. Another tried to escape through a side door. Sarah pushed into his mind, froze him mid-step. A technician reached for the ship's self-destruct system. Sarah shot him before he touched the panel. One by one, the bridge crew fell. The commander entered last. His black and silver armor reflected the flashing lights. His green eyes burned with hate. He charged straight at her. No words, just fury. Sarah fired. The shot hit his shoulder, but he kept coming. He grabbed her by the throat, lifted her off the ground. Her vision darkened. Her body kicked and struggled, but with her last bit of strength, she pushed into his mind. Hard, deeper than ever before. She forced every ounce of fear, pain, and confusion into him. For 1 second, commander's grip loosened. Sarah bit his arm, hard enough to break the skin. The alien roared and dropped her. She hit the floor, grabbed a fallen pistol, and fired 3 shots point-blank into his chest. The commander collapsed. Finally, still silence filled the bridge. Sarah coughed. Her throat burned, but she stood. The bridge was hers now. Her controlled soldiers stood at attention. The ship damaged, burning, but still flying. She limped over to the main control panel, looked at the star map. Countless alien worlds stretched before her. Endless fleets. Armies. Her enemies. But now, she had something she never had before. Power. Real power. And a crew, even if unwilling. Her voice cracked when she spoke, but her words were clear. Lock down the ship. Seal all doors. Prepare for jump. Varric stepped forward. Jump to where? He asked. Sarah smiled. Anywhere but here. Her first mutiny. Complete. Her next move. Just beginning. The enemy warship drifted in deep space. Its hull burned and cracked in places. Sparks jumped from broken panels. The smell of smoke and fear filled the air. Inside the command center, Sarah Kane stood tall. Her wounds still burned. Her body weak, but her eyes cold and sharp. The bridge lights flickered around her. Her controlled aliens stood at their stations, silent, waiting, their minds still under her control. They didn't speak unless she ordered them to. They didn't move unless she willed it. Sarah sat slowly in the command chair for the first time. She felt what it meant. She was now the commander of this enemy warship. She pressed a button on the chair's armrest. The main screen lit up. A map of the surrounding space appeared. Enemy patrols, nearby planets, supply ships. Sarah smiled weakly. She had choices now. Too many for her tired mind, but she would make the right one. She had to. Varric stood beside her, his armor still stained with blood, his hands still trembling from the fight, but his loyalty unshaken. "What are your orders, Commander?" he asked. Sarah blinked. That word, "Commander." It sounded strange, but it felt right. For a long second she said nothing. Then she spoke first. She said, her voice low but steady, "We need to secure the ship. Check all decks if anyone's still resisting. Bring them here." Varric nodded and left with 2 controlled guards. Minutes passed. Sarah leaned back in the chair. Her mind still reached outward, touching distant thoughts, feeling fear spreading across the lower decks, some aliens still hiding, some trying to send emergency signals, others kneeling, too afraid to resist. She smiled again. Her power was growing, and so was her control over this ship. Soon Varric returned behind him. A group of alien officers and soldiers, their hands tied, their faces pale, their eyes full of fear. Some had fresh bruises, others cuts and burns. Varric shoved them to the floor in front of Sarah. "These are the highest-ranking survivors," he said. Sarah stood slowly. She limped over to them, her face hard, her gaze sharp. She walked past each prisoner, looking into their eyes, feeling their fear. Sensing their thoughts. They hated her, they feared her, and deep inside, some started to admire her strength. That was new. She stopped in front of the highest-ranking officer, a tall alien with blue markings on his face. His hands shook, but he still stared at her with anger. "You're a human," he spat. "Filthy. We won't survive long. Reinforcements are coming." Sarah tilted her head. She reached out, touched his mind, pushed hard, forcing him to relive his worst memories, the deaths of his friends, his failures, his fear of dishonor. The officer gasped, his body shivered, his will crumbled slowly, his eyes lowered, then he dropped to his knees. One by one, the others followed, kneeling before her. Some shook, some cried, some stared at the floor, too afraid to look up. Sarah turned to Varric, her voice steady. "Untie them," she said. Varric blinked. "Untie them?" he asked, confused. Sarah nodded. "Yes, if they run, I'll stop them. If they fight, I'll break them." Varric obeyed. The ropes fell, but none of the prisoners moved. None dared. Sarah walked back to her chair, sat down again, her heart still racing but her mind stronger than ever. Over the next hours, she gave more orders. Varric and her controlled soldiers repaired the ship. They cleared the bodies, fixed the damage to the engines, restored life support to all decks. Everywhere she walked, aliens froze. They bowed their heads. Some whispered in fear. Some started calling her the new commander. Others, the mind killer. The rumors spread fast, faster than she expected. Later, Sarah gathered the senior officers in the main hall. About 20 aliens stood before her. Some still wounded, some barely able to stand, but all silent. She stood at the front, her rifle resting across her chest. She looked at them all, her voice low but strong. "You all have 2 choices," she said. "Serve me or die." Silence. Nobody moved. She focused on one officer, a middle-ranking tactical leader, weak, minded, easy to break. She pushed into his mind. "Kneel." The officer gasped, then dropped to his knees. The others watched, terrified. Another officer followed, then another. Within minutes, almost the entire room knelt before her. Only 3 officers still stood, staring at her, full of hate. Sarah raised her rifle, fired 3 shots, each one clean. Each one fatal. The 3 fell where they stood. The message was clear: serve or die. The remaining aliens lowered their heads, their loyalty now forced, but loyalty nonetheless. Sarah looked around the room, breathing hard. Her muscles ached, her mind close to exhaustion, but she stood tall. The ship was hers, its crew, hers, their fear, hers to use. Her voice echoed through the hall. "From now on, this ship follows my orders. I am your commander." The aliens lowered their heads even more. Some whispered her name, some began chanting it. "Commander Kane, Commander Kane." Sarah turned away. Her face stayed cold, but deep inside, she felt something new. Power. Real power. Later that cycle, she stood at the bridge window, staring at the stars. Her hands behind her back. Varric stood beside her. "Where to now?" he asked. Sarah smiled. "Home," she said. "And after that, we show them what real fear feels like." Her war had just begun, and now she had an army. Sarah Kane stood on the enemy warship's bridge. The stars outside looked cold and endless. The ship's main systems hummed under her control. Her wounds still ached, but her mind stayed sharp. Around her, the alien crew worked in silence, not because they wanted to, but because they feared her. Their new commander, Varric, stood at the communications console. His hands moved fast across the alien controls. Sarah watched him closely. "Is the long-range array working yet?" she asked. Varric nodded nervously. "Yes, Commander, the damage is repaired. We can send messages, even across sectors." Sarah smiled faintly. "Good," she said, her voice low but steady. She stepped toward the console. Her heart raced. For weeks, she had fought alone, captured, hunted, but now she had a ship, a crew, power, and now, finally, a way to speak to Earth. Sarah looked at the alien symbols on the console. Her fingers hovered over the buttons for a moment. She hesitated. What if no one answered? What if Earth thought she was already dead? What if her signal got intercepted by enemy fleets? She pushed the fear away. She'd come too far to stop now. She pressed the transmission button. Static filled the speakers. She adjusted the frequency again and again until finally she found it. A human emergency channel, crackly but clear enough. She leaned close to the microphone and spoke to her voice. Firm, full of defiance, full of fury. This is Lieutenant Sarah Kane, United Earth Defense Force, reporting from an enemy battleship. I have taken this vessel. I am alive. I am in control, and I am coming home. The words hung in the air. Her controlled crew stared at her, silent, waiting. Varik turned to her, his voice shaking. Commander, are you sure this is wise? Sending a message like this across the galaxy? Sarah didn't blink. Let them hear, she said. Let everyone hear. She leaned forward again. Her next words, louder, sharper, meant for both allies and enemies too. Any human ships, locate my signal. I will not wait forever. To any enemy listening, know this. You failed to break me. You failed to kill me now. I command your warriors. I fly your ship, and soon I will burn your worlds. I am coming. She ended the transmission. Silence followed. Varik swallowed hard. The other aliens stood still, frozen. Her words, reaching across space, across stars, heading toward Earth. And toward every enemy listening post within range. A long minute passed. Then, a soft ping, an incoming signal, weak, full of interference, but human. Sarah's heart jumped. She opened the channel up. Voice crackled through the speakers. Rough, tired but full of emotion. Lieutenant Kane, this is Earth Command. Receiving you. Repeat. We hear you. Stand by. Help is coming. All fleets alerted. Your signal broadcast to all channels. Repeat. The entire galaxy now knows your name. Sarah leaned back. Her eyes closed for a second. Relief flooded her chest. After everything, Earth heard her. She wasn't alone anymore, but there was no time to rest. On the tactical screens, multiple enemy ships appeared. Long-range scanners showed alien fleets mobilizing. Dozens of enemy cruisers moving toward her location, their speed fast. Fast. They had heard her message too, and they were coming to destroy her. Varik looked at the radar, panic in his eyes. Commander, their ships, they'll reach us within hours. Sarah nodded. I know. She stood from the command chair, her legs still weak, but steady, her voice stronger than ever. Get all weapons online. Power the engines. Prepare for evasive jump. Routes. Varik hesitated. But where will we go? Sarah smiled darkly. Anywhere they don't want us to go. Down in the lower decks. The alien crew prepared the ship. Loading weapons, recharging shields, repairing damage. Some whispered her name in fear. Others started saying it with respect. They didn't fully understand how she had done this, how a single human could take their deadliest warship. But they all knew one thing. She couldn't be stopped on distant enemy homeworlds. Leaders gathered in war rooms. Holograms showed Sarah's stolen ship. Her message played again and again. On every screen, her face, her voice, her threat, panic spread. Plans changed. Entire fleets redirected. One human had turned their entire war machine upside down. They called her many names. The human phantom, the mindbreaker, Earth's fury, and most terrifying of all, the commander of the fallen. Meanwhile, in Earth's Space Command Center, admirals stood frozen as her message looped on big screens. One senior officer shook his head. Lieutenant Kane, alone commanding an enemy warship. Another officer whispered, she survived the mind machines, took control, and now she's leading their soldiers. The admiral turned to his communications team. Alert. Every fleet near her sector. Get her home. Whatever it takes. The message spread across every human outpost, every Earth fleet. Every defense station. The order was clear. Find Kane, support Kane, follow Kane if needed. Her story had already become legend. Back on the warship, Sarah watched the stars, her hands tight around the command chair. Her mind reached out, touching every alien on board. She could feel their fear, their thoughts, their loyalty shifting. Some resisted, but many, many more started to accept her voice, started to follow her army, growing day by day as the engines roared to life, and the ship jumped to faster than light speed. Sarah Kane whispered two final words to herself, soft, deadly, certain. Let's begin. The galaxy had watched her fall now. It would watch her rise, and it would never forget her name.